over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. We'll get to the promised land. We'll get to the promised land.
Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up.
As I turned around quickly, and the next thing I saw was Malcolm falling back in a dead faint.
Killing any potential threat, any potential messiah.
Dr. King left his room, 306, at the Lorraine Hotel just before dinner to get some air. He walked over to the railing at this spot, and noticing some friends below, he leaned over and began to speak with them. Police say 205 feet away, in a window in a flop house, the assassin waited.
Killing any potential threat, any potential messiah.
And Rob, some call that deadly raid the massacre on Monroe Street. Black Panther leaders Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were killed. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were killed. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were killed.
Right? Now look at these. I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. It said, thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock. Whoa, I know a lot of y'all know about the Caucasus Mountains. Let's just let the word speak. Let's go to verse 4. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set thy nest among the stars. What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all show me some love, show me some love. Shalom, family. First, I want to give all praises, honor, glory, dominion, power, world without end, to the Most High Yah, the mighty one of Yaakov, the holy one of Yasharal, the defender of Zion, and the restorer of the 12 tribes thereof. All praises. Let's go. Yerubah B'nai Ephraim, of the tribe of Joseph, i.e. the son of Jacob, name changed to Israel, that is an Israelite. First, I want to say peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen race of the Most High Yah. All my Israelite brothers and sisters that have just been supporting like crazy. Y'all have been liking, commenting, sharing, cash apping, supporting the content, just everything, for prophesying. I couldn't thank y'all enough. I mean, my love and my gratitude for y'all is endless. It's as deep as the ocean. Y'all have me motivated. You have us encouraged to continue to do this work, continue to raise up Zion. I could not do this without y'all. We could not do this without y'all. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the absolute best, no contest. It ain't no supporter family on the whole YouTube platform like Zion Dynasty. Let's go! But not just my Israelite family, also all those loving, and shout out to Alan Duckman. That brother's faith is on 10. I have never seen a Gentile that humble in my life. Shout out to all of y'all Gentiles that are just I can't even fathom, just the meekest of the earth. Y'all are supporting Zion. Y'all are supporting this work. You're supporting the restoration, the resurrection of the very dry bones of Ezekiel. Y'all are humble. You're hungry. You're interested in the truth. You don't care about all the lost in the sauce and these urban apologists. Y'all, oh yeah, I forgot about y'all. Well, welcome to all my frenemies. All y'all that get on here just to troll. Y'all that get on here and be like,
man, what he talking about today? Let's see what he talking about. This ain't biblical doctrine. This ain't sound doctrine. Not my Jesus. Not my Jesus.
Yeah, not your Jesus. We talking about YESHUA here, the Black Messiah. Let's go. So y'all welcome as well, because y'all have your boy on 10. Y'all have your boy motivated. And y'all, we gonna jump right into it. So first, y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. A lot of y'all that are here are not subscribed yet. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go ahead and join that movement. Come on, click that button, turn post notifications on. Your boy drops every day, me brother. Y'all check with the family. The family already know. I drop these lessons every day. I'm engaged on the live chat, live chat, interacting with you guys. Just whatever comments, whatever video topics, series that you want me to do, y'all post that down below. So right now, family, we are in the middle of our Black Kingdom, the Kingdom for Israel series, where we're going through the historical gospel of the kingdom. We are nailing the coffin, slaughtering all of these urban apologists that say that Israel doesn't matter, Israel's done away with.
That has nothing to do with salvation. Who Israel is, neither Jew nor Greek, that has nothing to do with salvation.
We are dealing with that, y'all. We are dealing with, from a historical context, what was the original mission of Yeshua, the original mission of the 12 apostles, Paul, the early church, what biblically was the very purpose of the Most High Yah's plan for humanity. So in the last video, family, we went into J. Edgar Hoover, how he would sow discord among different pro-black groups. He tried to turn the Black Panthers against the Young Lords. He tried to leak any kind of dirt he can find on Dr. King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad. He put Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad against each other. Fred Hampton, he got the police force to just bust right in there through an informed agent, right? Y'all check out Judas and the Black Messiah. Somebody else commented about that. Judas and the Black Messiah. Y'all gotta watch that. Because in that movie, it has a clip with J. Edgar Hoover saying, "Prevent the rise of a Black Messiah." So y'all, we went through the FBI file on Malcolm X, and we saw how COINTELPRO, their chief agenda was to discredit, destroy, prevent the rise of a Black Messiah by infiltrating all these Black power groups. Y'all, white folks working hard to destroy us and keep us destroyed. We talked about the spirit of Pharaoh in Josephus. In Josephus's book of Antiquities, we saw how Pharaoh was informed by one of his sorcerers that there would be a Messiah to arise out of Zion. We saw that in the very tool of our damnation, that a Savior rose for our salvation. This was Moses. That in the very river that those male Hebrews were thrown in, out of the very destruction, came forth the very thing that the nations feared. Oh, y'all better talk to me. The very thing that Pharaoh was afraid of, he created that thing. Because when they threw Moses in there, the Most High had already orchestrated an ark of different figs and vines that he floated on the very tomb that was meant to destroy him. And this was prophesied. This was why Pharaoh was killing all those man babies. We saw in Matthew chapter 2 how that same spirit of Pharaoh to destroy Israel, to destroy any hope of a leader arising, was going on during the time of Yeshua. Herod also knew that around that time a Messiah who had the right to reign Yah's people would come forth, so he started killing every male Hebrew baby in Bethlehem from 2 years old and younger. So we went through all that in the COINTELPRO video. But in this video, y'all, we are about to go through the Willie Lynch infamous legendary letter. This is like COINTELPRO's foundation, the prequel of COINTELPRO, where Willie Lynch in 1712 in Jamestown, I believe, gathers all these plantation owners together and instructs them on how to keep our people mentally bound. This is that same spirit of Pharaoh that was existing back during Egypt, this same spirit of the red dragon that Edom introduced during the time of Yeshua. And in the Willie Lynch letter, he explains everything you need to do to keep black people slaves for the next 300 years mentally. So family, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through, I have a PDF file of the Willie Lynch letter from 1712. We are gonna break this thing down as deep as we can and show the spirit that is coming against y'all's people that goes all the way back to Egypt, all the way back to the spirit of Pharaoh, all the way back to the time of Yeshua, the spirit of Herod, that red dragon, that wars against the remnant of Yah's people, that wars against the descendants of Israel to keep them destroyed, keep them from turning back to Torah, and to keep them mentally enslaved and in this perpetual cycle of servitude. Let's deal with it. So I'm gonna put this on the screen and you guys should see the Willie Lynch, The Untold Story, 1712. This speech was delivered by a white slave owner, Willie Lynch, on the banks of the James River in 1712. Now, Willie Lynch, The Untold Story, and the message is still true today. And this is by Willie Lynch, and let's start reading, family. So it says, gentlemen, I greet you here on the banks of the James River in the year of our Lord. I don't know what Lord they talking about. They worshiping Satan. 1712. Man. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with these slaves. So this dude was coming on the scene, y'all, saying, I'm going to show y'all how to deal with these Negroes. I'm going to show you how to deal with any riots, any Denmark Vesey, any Nat Turner, any uprising, any slave that will begin to think about freedom. Y'all understand, all of this is by design. And I'm going to let y'all know, I'm going to do a follow-up. Now, this is really a follow-up to COINTELPRO. I'm going to do a part 3 that I have already ready. Where we're going to talk about the Council of Nicaea in detail to show you how the Council of Nicaea is connected with Willie Lynch, is connected with COINTELPRO. All of this is one agenda of white supremacy and to keep y'all's people subservient. Let's read. So I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies. So this brother was out the nation. I think that's the Caribbean, right? Where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods of control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. Y'all got to understand the prophecies in Obadiah. We looked at the history of Esau, where in the history of Esau we dealt with America being Babylon the Great. We dealt with America being connected with Edom and Obadiah. The Bible prophesies how Esau would dwell in the clefts of the rock. They would exalt themselves as an eagle. They would set their nest in the stars. We looked at Daniel talking about this fourth beast that was connected to Rome with the iron teeth. He doesn't give us an animal, but then we look at Ezra in 2nd Ezra where he sees the eagle come out the sea. We know this is what Daniel saw because in Revelation 13, he sees a beast come out the sea. So Daniel sees this fourth beast that's terrible. Revelation 13 says the beast comes out the sea, and Ezra says it's an eagle beast that comes out the sea. All praises. So in the Willie Lynch letter, he said that our forefathers, y'all better talk, ancient Rome would envy us with the tactics and the techniques that I'm about to implement. Y'all, it's crazy because America, leading Edom, leading Esau, has taken all the different spiritual tactics of all the empires that have come before them, and they have implemented them to afflict Zion and keep our people destroyed at the highest level. That's why I tell y'all, there is no captivity like the captivity that we are in right now. America has gleaned from Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, the ancient Romans, and have combined that into number 7 in perfection and implementing why our people are destroyed. So when y'all wonder like, well, JP, why our people don't believe, why they don't know they Israel, why they think that stuff don't matter? Christianity, which is really a part of that whole agenda, and a lot of the stuff we think about, we don't understand, has been put in our minds. It's like the Matrix. It's mental warfare. It's the sunken place of Get Out. A lot of our people are not woke or aware or spiritually awakened to the battle that they're born in. You were born into this, Zion. We were coming into a curse and a series of plagues that predates us, that was prophesied during Moses' time. And these nations have been running game on the minds of our people, telling them that this stuff don't matter, telling them, well, who we are don't matter. Every other people have a history, every other people have a culture, every other people have a heritage. But then they tell us, oh, so what if y'all Israel? That stuff doesn't matter. You know, culture, everybody's one in Christ. They convince you that your culture don't matter when we got Chinese Christians, we got Jewish Christians, we got other groups of people that acknowledge their heritage, that keep their culture in the faith of Yeshua. So what is the problem with Yeshua's people, the children of Israel, being proud of who they are? White supremacy, Willie Lynch, COINTELPRO. Let's keep reading. So ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. So he knew that Rome oppressed us, and now they're using Rome and all this other wisdom to destroy us. Let's keep reading. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, and I guess they think that's their king, whose version of the Bible we cherish. Now they say they cherish, but I ain't gonna deal with this. I saw enough to know your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasion. Oh my God, y'all gotta see what this brother is saying. He's saying Rome used the crosses back then to oppress these jokers. We gonna use the tree. Now it's crazy because a lot of Israel have the contention that that cross that they're talking about was actually a tree that Yeshua was hung on. Either way, the Bible says, cursed is any man that hangs on a tree. That's how it describes in Galatians 3:13, Yeshua's crucifixion. So in Galatians, Paul is saying, cursed is any man that hangs on a tree, to represent Christ, who was made a curse to free us from the curse. In the Levitical law, we talked about this, family, how they would take two goats. They would put the sin on one and cut off that joker head, take the blood and put it on the other goat and let it run free. This was symbolic of a practice of atoning for sin. This is how our people were practicing Torah. They understood these metaphors, but it was never about a goat. It was never about a lamb. It was all about a metaphor to show you Yeshua, a grown man, an Israelite man, to take away the sin of another man. Because a goat can't save a grown man from committing adultery. The atoning power was in Yeshua's life. So we see here that Willie Lynch is saying back then we used the cross to hang up Yeshua and all them prophets, right? Today we're using these trees to hang these Negroes. And this is how you know our people have been under the curses of Deuteronomy 28, because we just talked about Galatians 3 says, cursed is any man that hangs on a tree. So when we were being lynched in America, this was a sign, going back to Deuteronomy 28, that says, these curses shall be a sign upon you and your children forever. We know that that was a sign when we were being lynched, that we're under the curses. It's so many receipts, y'all. Let's keep reading. So they use crosses for standing human bodies along its old highways. I caught a whiff, let's go down, of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stocks by hangings, you are having uprisings, slaves are running away, your crops are sometimes left in fields too long for maximum profit. So he's saying, y'all, we losing money, allowing these Negroes to be rebels. We would rather them be alive and not have to lynch them and smell that, and we're losing money by their productivity, right? Now let's go down a little bit, you guys. I'm gonna go down. So he says, now this is the most powerful part, family. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you, you can go to the bank, that if it is installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. Now, y'all, we got to look at this. This is 1712. He's saying, I can guarantee this will last all the way to 2012. Understand what I'm saying? He's saying that if you implement this, this will keep them enslaved mentally perpetually. Let's look at it. He says, my method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them even bigger. I dramatize these things. Differences that really don't mean that much. Differences that are really small in the big scheme of things. I'm gonna dramatize it and turn the people against themselves. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. He was sure of this thing, y'all. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On the top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. So it ain't that much powerful than the other techniques. The second is color or shade. There's intelligence, size, sex, size, plantations, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, all these different differences, whether they have fine hair or coarse hair, or are tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulation, respect or admiration, The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generation for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. So he's saying, I need you to divide y'all's people, divide these Negroes based on just arbitrary means, differences that are not that big in the big scheme of things, but divide them based on age, sex, gender, whether they're in-house or on the plantation, whether they're tall or short, or the nature of their hair, the shade of their skin. All of these techniques were used to destroy our people. This is why, family, y'all have to understand, when we're coming against getting black people to think like a nation, getting us to nation build and love one another and think like a community, think like when Big Mama had sugar and Aunt Sally had Kool-Aid and everybody had a glass. We are having to come against this mindset, this system of Satan used like the spirit of Pharaoh to destroy y'all's people. I'm gonna drop a nugget for y'all. When Pharaoh set taskmasters over Israel, you can look at Josephus and you can examine Exodus 1-3, that you see that these were actually Israelites. Watch this now. Pharaoh was taking Israelites, pitting them over other Israelites to oppress them and make sure they got the job done. Y'all gotta look at this. They were creating Uncle Tom, coonish Negroes. Now historically, we know what the Uncle Tom byword. The historical Uncle Tom was not what we're talking about, right? Because the historical Uncle Tom was actually, if y'all look that up, he was a guy that laid down his life for his people. But we use that word or that phrase today to represent Negroes that sell out their people to maintain their status, right? So they would take other Israelites during Egypt and put them over other Israelites just to instill, just to create this divide or this animosity, this envy, this lack of trust for a family, right? We looked at how when our people were divided, that's the first time when the nations would come in and conquer us. As long as we were divided, it made their job easier. So what these slave masters are doing goes all the way back to Egypt, where they had to go in and sow seeds of discord, which is an abomination, according to Proverbs, in the eyes of the Most High Yah. That's the only way they could conquer us, by getting us to hate ourselves, or getting other Christians or other urban apologists to say, well, Israel don't matter no more. Y'all over here being a black hate group. And these are actually black people. These are actually Israelites, y'all. It's crazy. And they think they're doing Yah's will, when in actuality, the Most High is the one that rose Israel up. The Most High is the one that blessed his people. The Most High is the one that chose Zion. The Most High said that as long as you see the sun, the moon, the stars, that I'm never going to give up on that people. The apple of my eye, the firstborn, the fervent lover. Yah has chosen his people. But you got these Negro Israelites that think they're doing, well, Christ came for everybody, because they don't know Maccabees, they don't know the Apocrypha, they don't know that Christ said in Matthew 15:24 that I am only sent unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They don't read the cultural nuances of the kingdom and all of this that was prophesied from the beginning of time. They don't know that history. They're just taking the word for these urban apologists. This tactic of using our people against one another goes back to Egypt. It's going on today, and we see that in the Willie Lynch letter. So let's continue. It says, don't forget, you must pitch the old black man versus the young black man, and the young black man against the old black man. He goes on and talks about the light skin versus the dark skin. Y'all, we're gonna have to deal with this. So when you look at some of the fraternities and the sororities, you know, they had the paper bag test, and you had the lighter skin AKAs versus the darker skin. I guess, now y'all probably know that better than I do. I'm just using examples. But also this whole divide of generations. I hate it, y'all, when I see our elders say, oh, well, y'all millennials, y'all something else. Negro, where did you get that term from? Y'all, we gotta ask these questions. Where did we get baby boomer, Generation X, Generation Y, Z? Where did we get these terms from? White people. They created these concepts of differences of generations to cause our people to look unfavorably toward our own kids. Now, y'all, we finna go into Malachi in a few minutes, y'all. And I'm gonna show you the opposite of the Willie Lynch spirit, that spirit of Pharaoh, that spirit of Herod, that spirit that seeks to divide and conquer. I'm gonna show you the opposite of that, which is the spirit of Elijah. The spirit of Elijah is sent to combat that negative spirit and unite y'all's people. Now we're going to go into that a little bit later, but let's go back and deal with this Willie Lynch stuff. So when you hear older people say, well, y'all millennials, y'all this and that, and then you got young people saying, man, these old folks, man, they don't do. That's why I tell y'all, we have to be careful how we deal with our elders. These are our elders. We still have to respect them, have to honor them. You have to know where you come from, because a lot of these older generations of our elders, right? That's why y'all see me speaking highly of the people that we come from. When you look at Dr. King and Malcolm X and all these leaders, some Israel say, well, you know, they didn't know we was Israel, and those were false prophets that dreamed a dream, and they didn't know that we was Israelites, and they was false prophets and false leaders. Y'all got to understand. In their dispensation, they accomplished what the Most High wanted them to accomplish. Yeah, they might not have known all the stuff we're talking about now, but there is a lot that they knew that you are not aware of. And we have to honor those that come before us. Likewise, the elders. You can't look at these kids and be like, these kids these days, they something else. These millennials, these are your babies. These are your children. This is a part of your nation. That entire mindset of differences of generations is a tool that goes back to Willie Lynch to divide and conquer. Let's look at this. So we see divide the old black man versus the young black man versus the old, the light skin versus the dark skin, the paper bag test, the male versus the female. You got black women beefing against black men, and black men womanizing and oppressing and abusing their sisters, their queens. This stuff is going on today. Let's keep going, y'all. Then you have your white servants and overseers to distress all blacks, but it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. So you got Negroes that are loyal to white Jesus. They're loyal to Christian hermeneutics. They're like, yes, this is not the gospel. When all that the white folks doing is using you Negro to oppress your own people, because they're always skeptical of you. They're always watching you while you're always trusting them. This was all Willie Lynch. Let's look at this. They must love, respect, and trust us only, right? Gentlemen, these kids are the keys to control them. Have your wives, children use them. Never miss an opportunity to implement these strategies, to get them divided, to cause them to love and trust us but hate one another, to divide the generations, to paper bag test the different shades of our people, divide them based on their hair and their skin complexion. You have to use all these tactics whenever you can. This is what Willie Lynch is telling these plantation owners. If used intensively for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Y'all, this stuff is crazy. And I'm a witness to this stuff on my job, where you'll have these white CEOs and directors. I gotta tell the truth, y'all. They'll come and divide. They'll sow seeds of discord, and they'll take one of the black workers and say, you're doing such a great job. Y'all need to be more like him, doing such a great job. And tell the other ones, y'all need to be more like this one. And they'll sow that seed in your mind, right? They'll take a young person and an older worker that's been there for years, elevate the young person overnight, and then say, yeah, but this is the future, this is our future, and cause that discord between the older workers that been there for years, been there slaving, never got paid their due from the beginning, and then they have a young person and have that young person have animosity toward this is how white folks get down. So when y'all say that this stuff does not exist, we have not dealt with the ramifications of this technique that has been implemented. Now, Willie Lynch is saying if you do this for 1 year, that they will remain this way perpetually. So a lot of y'all that are saying, well, this stuff doesn't exist anymore, we are still dealing with the ramifications and the repercussions of this strategy that was implemented. Let's keep reading. So he thanks them, and now we're going to look at, family, how this stuff starts. So it was in the interest and business of slaveholders to study human nature, and the slave nature in particular. So they had to study psychology and sociology to understand how to manipulate the slaves. Now let's go down. Now this is a quote by Frederick Douglass that says that conscious of the injustice and wrong they were every hour perpetuating, and knowing what they themselves would do were they victims of such wrongs. So he's calling out these these slave owners, these white folks that's doing what they doing. They knew what they was doing. They was implementing these strategies without fail, right? Now let's keep going. So now let's make a slave. This is a study of the scientific process of man breaking and slave making. This was a well thought out, well orchestrated, well organized scientific method to keep our people destroyed. Now, we're gonna see that they saw the slave as merely like a horse. They said that when you get a new horse in, you have to break the horse, right? You have to get that horse to think like not a wild creature of nature that depends on instinct, that trusts in itself. You have to have that horse broken in, if you will, to trust in the rider, the person that owns it, where he won't buck, where he won't kick against the system, metaphorically speaking. They saw our people as the same chattel and horses that they had to break in. They said you have to treat Negroes in this same manner. Let's keep looking. So, for fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horse and man, we are going to lay them down as a art, right? For if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break and tie both of the beasts together, the Negro and the horse. Y'all look at this. So Willie Lynch is saying that our entire wealth, our entire kingdom, our entire infrastructure is based on destroying this Negro. Y'all don't understand how powerful that is. Willie Lynch is admitting, just like Romans 11 says, that if by our destruction is the exaltation of the nations, how much more so is when we're restored. Willie Lynch already understands. He admits and reveals the secret of white supremacy, that they know that this nation, America, the European NATO countries, they would not have the power that they have. There would be no industrial revolution without the boom and the agricultural revolution produced off the back of our people. Y'all got to understand. They know deep down in their hearts, deep down in their psyches, that without our people, without that free slave labor, without working off the back of our ancestors, there would be no world superpower of America. There would be no European Union and NATO prowess. All of this is off our back. But we got no reparation. The 30 acres or 40 acres and a mule, we saw none of that. Why do I bring this up? To let you all know that this stuff exists. A lot of our brothers and sisters are still kind of hung up that, man, I just don't really see how this affects us. We are living in the repercussions of this event. And what they don't want to tell you is that critical race theory actually is real, right? This whole country, the very fabric of America, is stitched in with the carving of our people being the scapegoat. Now let's keep looking. Now, we understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic chaos. So he says from time to time, you're gonna have to break these jokers in and they're gonna try to revolt and that kind of thing. Now, so he goes back through how horse is just like a Negro that has to be broken in. That's the only way that our economy, our empire can exist, is by using this Negro and destroying him in mind, but strengthening him in body. Now, I'm trying to find where he first starts going into this stuff. All right, family. So here we see the beginning of his tactic. He's about to go through how you break in a plantation, how you get all these Negroes to hate each other, to have envy towards one another. There's the first thing that you must do. Now, if y'all seen Django, you can watch it on Netflix. Django shows us what the end game of this letter looks like. You got Django, that black liberator, coming in, dealing with his people that have been mentally destroyed. So they're looking at this Negro riding on a horse and exalted, and they can't fathom it. And they're so paralyzed with fear that they don't know how to accept that brother, right? They're more afraid of their slave owners than siding with this guy. They're kind of just looking like, what in the world is this? There's a scene in Django where Django takes the whip from the slave owner and beats him silly. And the slaves are just looking in fear. You notice they don't even rejoice because they're like, this can't be happening. Not my Jesus, right? This is mental warfare. And I'm about to show y'all how this starts. So Willie Lynch says you take the meanest and most relentless Negro, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male Negroes and females, the babies, and you tar and feather him. So you take the strongest, the most brave, courageous of our people, and you humiliate him. You tar and feather him. You tie each leg to a different horse in opposite directions, set him on fire, and you beat both of the horses to pull him apart in front of all the... Y'all gotta know how gruesome that is. How terrifying that must have been. You are watching this brother be tarred, feathered, set on fire. He's screaming. You tied him to 2 horses and you caused the horses to run apart and rip this brother in half. I know this is gruesome, family. I know this is extreme. A lot of y'all are like, what the? This is for anybody that doubts why the Most High is bringing judgment. He has watched all of this stuff. Things that he has not even showed us. Things that went on that we weren't allowed to see. God, the Most High Yah, watched this thing. YESHUA watched this stuff. They saw the deep, dark wickedness that has been going on against Israel, against David, against the children of Zion, against Daniel and the Hebrew boys. The Most High sees all of his people when he looks at their children. And he's saying, you doing this to my people? You feeding them to alligators? You tarring and feathering them, tying them to 2 horses. Now y'all gotta understand, Willie Lynch is implementing this to a multitude of plantation owners. So only Yah knows how many different male slaves of our people went through this to set an example. So it says you do this in front of all the other Negroes. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining Negro male, the boy, I guess, to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Y'all, this stuff is crazy. So they're gonna take our hope and destroy it in front of you by taking the strongest. That could be the most charismatic, the tallest, the most built, the most likely to lead a people. Take him, crush him, and put that image before the people. Now, y'all, this is where things get deep. Now, we're going to go into the scriptures with this. When you look at YESHUA, this is why our people, y'all got to understand, the cross that we love, understand, is a Roman symbol. Now y'all understand? In Deuteronomy 28, he says that our people will serve gods that our forefathers did not know, even wood and stone. That wooden cross is us serving, watch this, the Romans. The Most High never told his people to worship no cross. Y'all understand what I'm saying? A lot of this imagery, the cross and all that, comes from paganry. I'm not talking about YESHUA and the price that he paid. I'm talking about why he paid the price and the people that used it. The Romans did. So when they show you that cross symbol, they're really showing you the way they conquered our people. Josephus says that hundreds of rebel rousers, of Israelite leaders, were crucified a day. Y'all check out Josephus in the book of Antiquities and the book of the Wars. This was a Roman tactic, a Roman technique. So they're doing this symbolic imagery, putting it before the rest of them, saying, oh, Judeans, if y'all try to riot, to come against us, this is what you're gonna get. We see Willie Lynch use that same tactic of the Romans by taking the strongest, most legendary. That's why when we talk about YESHUA, they can almost spin that as, okay, y'all know the history. Y'all know that YESHUA was a Hebrew, but you see what the Romans did to him. It's a psychology game. That's why our people don't need to be worshiping no cross, right? We need to be talking about the resurrection, and we need to be talking about the resurrection of Zion, our people getting back to that land. Because that cross is showing you this is what happened to YESHUA. It's emphasizing the death. And Willie Lynch was telling these slave owners to show this image of this black Messiah figure, this black strong liberator, Negro slave, and destroy him in front of the people, to put a psychology of fear that y'all better not try to be free. You better not talk about a kingdom for Israel. You better not talk about going back to that land. We're going to push the red button. You better not talk about how we need to be proud of our hair, proud of our locks, proud of who we are, right? You can't go to my job with your hair like that. That's unprofessional. Y'all better hear what I'm saying. All of this is to destroy the image of our people being proud, victorious, and standing for who they are. This go back to Willie Lynch, y'all. Let's look at it. So now look what he does with the African woman. Look what he does with our foremothers, right? Then take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desire willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance and submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of, y'all see that, out of her. Take care not to kill her though, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. He said, we don't want to destroy y'all because we need your body strong to pick this cotton. We want to destroy you mentally. We want to destroy anything in you that would try to stand for your people and try to fight against our rule. Y'all look at this. When in complete submission, she will train her kids in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. They said when we get through breaking her, because she's already shaken up, because she's watching her defender, she's watching her protector, she's watching her Lord be tarred and feathered and killed right before her. So she's gonna teach those kids, y'all gotta do right. Whatever they tell y'all to do, do it. Because they don't have any power. Our people have been disenfranchised and don't have an ability to resist. And this was by design. Let's keep reading. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female Negro. Right? Now let's go down, family. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is the spirit of the bad B-I-T. This is the spirit of the I can do bad all by myself. This is the spirit of I don't need a man. This is the spirit of I'm not going to deal with it. This was set up to divide our families. Y'all got to understand, this is Satan. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Destroy our homes. Destroy the husband and the wife being on one accord with the husband leading. Destroy the order of heaven with the father, the son, the husband, and the wife having taken the male and humiliated him through massive incarceration. Humiliated him through killing him down on the streets. Humiliated him through tarring and feathering him. All of this causes our sisters, our queens, to be like, we can't trust in our headship. Y'all gotta understand, we can't trust in our husbands, our lords, our leaders to protect us because they don't have no power. So we gotta do bad all by ourselves. And this spirit exists today when you take the males out the home, incarcerate them, gun them down, right? And now Big Mama becomes the matriarch, and you got movies like Medea. Y'all better talk to me. That was never y'all's plan. You got the spirit of Big Mama that was never meant to exist but came out of necessity because of captivity. This was not y'all's plan for Big Mama to hold the house down. Now she got more say-so than the husband. The husband coming in there and be like, what's going on, Medea? Go sit down, Cletus. I got this. That spirit of the independent woman came from Willie Lynch, came from demasculinating and destroying the black male leadership, taking the boys, and now they're trained in single parent homes and don't know how to lead. They're strong physically, but mentally they're weak. Y'all gotta understand, Willie Lynch. Let's go back to it. So frozen in an independent state, and this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Now you got to see the Big Mama spirit heart. She said, baby, if you don't do what they say, if you don't do what they say, if you don't do what they do, if they or do what they tell you to do, if they pull you over, baby, just do whatever they tell you to do. Just be a nice young man. Don't speak all bold. Don't be all loud when you're out in public. You know, a black man can't do that. Put your head down. You know, shave your beard. That looks too reckless. You know, have a clean shaven. All of this was out of her fear that if she taught that lion to roar like a lion, his life would be at stake. We understand why, but this was not y'all's plan. This is coming out of the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So it's a delicate situation when you are trying to reverse that because it came out of a place of I just want to protect my family. But what it really was doing was teaching in an effeminate, afraid, cowardice spirit in the men of Zion. You got to look at David. David put thousands of folks to death. David was a warrior with a warrior savage heart. But not just that, he had the heart of a lion. He had a loving capacity. He was a man's man. And we're looking that society, Willie Lynch is trying to demasculinate, testicular castration spiritually of the Israelite leadership. That's why they want to give funding to single mothers, and they want to make it where you get more government funding to be by yourself. They want to teach our sisters that they don't need no covering, they don't need no man, right? And have the man, right, that's getting trampled on his job, not knowing who he is, right, coming home to chaos. This was all Willie Lynch, y'all. I'm telling y'all now. I have to deal with this stuff, y'all. I have to, because our people don't understand Satan's tactics, right? We're learning who we are, but we're coming against an age-old spirit that you're wondering why our people don't get this? Why our people don't understand? Because all of these safeguards have been implemented to keep our people mentally destroyed, to keep our people mentally dependent on white people. That's why they'll give each other hell, like they crab in the bucket mindset. They'll make it hell for one another, but a white person show up and they on their best behavior. And they almost do it instinctively. They don't even notice that they're doing it, because this comes from slavery. So any person, family, that tells you this stuff don't exist, we have not had the counseling of our spirits to fully detoxify from the mental captivity and the spirit of Pharaoh that has destroyed the minds and hearts of our people, to cause our people to think that it's robbery for us to be equal to our forefathers, knowing that we Israel, equal with Yeshua, knowing that Yeshua was our big brother, he was our Messiah, he was our Lord, but we're in his image. We're meant to reign this earth. Israel was set above all nations. All of that was stripped out of our people at a subconscious level, to teach them that, Negro, you ain't nothing but a slave. I want your body strong, but you know that I am Jesus, right? That's why whitewashing Jesus was a tactic of Willie Lynch. Y'all gotta look at this. So let's keep going. So because she has become psychologically independent, she will train the female offsprings to be psychologically independent. So it's a cycle. This is why I tell y'all, we have not tapped in to the grace package of Yeshua, because the curses of Deuteronomy 28 are self-perpetuating. Because Yah says if you don't keep your heritage, you go on into slavery. But when you go into slavery, the system is going to keep you asleep. So you never can repent and turn back to fulfill your end of the bargain unless a supernatural intervention comes and awakens you to who you are. So Willie Lynch is showing them that this will keep perpetuating. This will keep going on. That the mother would teach that spirit of independence to her daughter and fragility to her son, and it would further destroy our community, further divide the home. The home is the heartbeat of the nation. The husband and the wife and their unity represents the unity of our community and the unifying of our nation. And Willie Lynch understood this, and he said that if we can destroy them mentally, this will continue for 300 years. It's mighty strange that 300 years sounds exactly like, watch this, the 400 years of our captivity. So now, family, I'm gonna close this out. And now, family, we are finna look at the opposite of Willie Lynch. Now, I showed y'all this Willie Lynch letter is crazy, y'all. He divided our people based on arbitrary differences: age, sex, gender, shade, pigmentation, course of hair, house slave versus the field slave, ages, having the old generation say, oh, these millennials, and the younger generation say, oh, ain't none of them old folks knew who he was, and they ain't know nothing, they ain't do nothing. All of these divisions was what Willie Lynch implemented to keep our people destroyed. Now I'm about to show y'all the opposite of the Willie Lynch process, the spirit that combats the spirit of Pharaoh. For that, let's go to Malachi. So in Malachi chapter 3 verse 1, it says, behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. Now let's go to the 4th chapter. So in the 4th chapter it says, behold, the days come that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud that do wickedly shall stumble. Now let's go down. Verse 4, remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all of Israel, with the statutes and the judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Y'all got to understand what's going on. So we see that this servant's going to come. This messenger is going to come. Now, a lot of Israel teach about Elijah coming in the bodily form. Now, that's a whole other lesson, y'all. What they teach about different men that came. Some people believe in Ariyah, who founded a lot of these modern Israelite camps, that he was the spirit of Elijah that came. But basically, a lot of Israelites, some teach that this has already been fulfilled. Some teach that it's going to come. But what I want you guys to see is what the spirit of Elijah is. We see in Malachi that the purpose of the spirit of Elijah is to prepare the way for the coming of the Mashiach. The spirit of Elijah is a spiritual sound. Let's not deal with the embodiment form. Let's just look at what it is spiritually. Spiritually, the spirit of Elijah is to turn the hearts of Yah's people back to their ancestors, back to their fathers, and to turn the hearts of the children, or turn the hearts of the fathers back to their children. This is a lot that verse is saying, y'all. First, it's talking about our people awakening to who we are. So a part of Elijah coming is this sound of our people awakening to our identity, knowing that we Israel, knowing that we Zion, knowing that the gospel was for our deliverance, that the Black Revolution, all of this is historical. That's one phase of us turning back to our fathers. The next phase is the fathers turning back to their children, which represents the generational divide that exists in our community being mended and us coming together as a community. This goes into Ezekiel, where the dry bones are joined together. Joint and joint, marrow and marrow. Our people are coming back together. This all is the part of the package deal, the work of Elijah. Elijah comes to unify Israel, unify the 12 tribes, turn them back to their history, turn them back to their ancestors. This is the antithesis. This is the antithesis. What the? This is the antithesis spirit to the spirit of Pharaoh, with the Willie Lynch letter, with Cointelpro, with that agenda to destroy our people and to divide them. The opposite is the spirit of Elijah. So family, we have to be aware of the devices of Satan, all these institutions that exist, all these tactics that white folks do to turn us against each other. They'll tell one black person, you know that don't matter. You know all that Israelite stuff don't matter. You need to tell them that's ungodlike. And some of these Negroes will feel like, oh yeah, they believe in me. And they'll go and sabotage their own community. We saw this with Judas and the Black Messiah, where this brother, to clear his own record, went against an entire movement that Fred Hampton was using to unify us as a nation, right? So we have to be aware of Satan's schemes, and we have to try the spirit by the spirit, and we have to check ourselves, y'all. Every day we can fall short and do something that comes against our own people. You have to watch the way you think. Sometimes you'll drive down the street, you see a white person, you think, oh man, that's a successful guy. Then you see your people with their pants hanging down, and you start thinking, oh no, these Negroes, you know how us is. You gotta watch that thing, because we can so easily fall into that, where we're labeling our people negatively. We're speaking death to our own community, because we've been so programmed to think less than of ourselves that we can spiritually regurgitate that to our own brothers, to our own sisters, to our own children, to our own parents. And when I say parents, I ain't just talking about your natural parents. I'm talking about spiritual elders of your community, right? We have to walk in the spirit of Elijah. We have to walk in an intentional mindset to love your people aggressively. And any spirit that tries to tell you, you know, you shouldn't be doing it, you should just love all people. Charity begins at home. If you don't love yourself and your own, you're worse than an infidel and a robber. You don't have to be ashamed of loving your own. No other people are like that. they teach us that, to think like that, so that we never come together, we never intentionally rebuild our own families, and it keeps us locked into the curses. So y'all, I just want to encourage y'all that the curse has been lifted. We need to love one another and come together, y'all. We are the greatest season in human history, y'all. All praises to the Most High Yah. So with that, family, I hope y'all learned something about that dark stuff of this Willie Lynch. Y'all need to know Satan's devices, y'all, so we can know how to combat it. So with that, family, peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen race of the Most High Yah. I love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Shalom.